The curtain ripped open mid-change, and there he was, Lucas, the H&M clerk with eyes like storm clouds, staring at me in my half-buttoned shirt like I'd just confessed a murder. "Elijah," he whispered, voice cracking like thunder on the horizon. "You can't keep pretending this isn't real." My heart slammed against my ribs. The mirror behind me fracturing the moment into 1,000 jagged lies. Because in that fluorescent-lit hellhole of a fitting room, he wasn't wrong, and that terrified me more than anything. I'd always thought secrets were like bad tattoos, hidden under sleeves until they itched their way out. But Lucas? He was the needle, sharp and unyielding, injecting truth into veins I'd long since numbed. That afternoon in the Soho H&M, with the hum of indie pop blasting over the speakers and the scent of new denim hanging heavy in the air, he didn't just expose my skin, he peeled back the layers I'd built around my soul. And as the words tumbled from his lips, raw and reckless, I realized this wasn't some fleeting crush, it was a goddamn reckoning. New York in late October is a beast, crisp air that bites your cheeks, sidewalks slick with fallen leaves, and that relentless pulse of ambition that makes you feel invincible until it doesn't. I come to the city 3 years ago, fresh out of a nowhere college in Ohio, chasing the dream of making it as a graphic designer. What I found instead was a one-bedroom walk-up in Brooklyn, ramen nights, and a freelance grind that left me scrolling Grindr at 2 a.m. just to feel human. I wasn't out, not fully. Not to my folks back home, who still sent passive-aggressive Bible verses and birthday cards, or to my boss at the ad agency, who joked about family values over craft beers. Being gay in America? It's like playing Russian roulette with roulette wheels everywhere, progressive on paper. But one wrong spin, and you're dodging bullets from your own reflection. That day, I was killing time before a client pitch, wandering into H&M because their sales are the only thing cheaper than my dignity. The store was a zoo, tourists snapping selfies by the mannequins, college kids raiding the graphic tees, and that faint undercurrent of desperation that clings to fast fashion like cheap cologne. I grabbed a stack of button-downs, the kind that scream creative professional without trying too hard, and headed to the fitting rooms. The lines snaked around like a bad tattoo, but I didn't mind. It gave me space to breathe, to rehearse my pitch in my head. When my turn came, the attendant waved me in with a bored flick of his wrist. But then Lucas appeared, clipboard in hand, like he'd been summoned from some alternate universe where store clerks were actually hot. Mid-20s, maybe, with that effortless tousle of chestnut hair that falls just right, and a jawline that could cut glass. His name tag gleamed under the lights. Lucas. Asked me about styling tips. Yeah, right. I mumbled a thanks and slipped behind the curtain, stripping down to my undershirt, the mirror throwing back a version of me that felt too exposed, lean from skipped meals, ink from a rebellious phase snaking up my arm, eyes shadowed from another sleepless night. I was fumbling with the first shirt when the curtain twitched. Need a different size? His voice was low, almost swallowed by the store's din, but it hit me like a bass drop. I yanked the fabric closed, heart jackhammering. No, I'm good. Silence. Then the rustle of movement outside. I exhaled, buttoning up, but something fell off, like the air had thickened, charged with static. That's when it happened. The curtain flew back, and Lucas was there, not with a hanger or a smile, but with this haunted look that pinned me in place. "Elijah," he said again, stepping inside the tiny booth like he owned it, pulling the curtain shut behind him. The space shrank to nothing, our breaths mingling. His cologne, something woodsy, like pine after rain, invading my senses. How'd he know my name? I'd paid cash at the coffee cart earlier, but that was blocks away. My mind raced, Stalker? Ex? No. Impossible. I'd never seen him before. Or had I? Flashes hit me. A guy at that queer poetry slam last month. Laughing too loud at the same dumb joke. Wait. No. It couldn't be. You think I wouldn't recognize you? His words sliced through the panic. Soft, but edged with hurt. He reached out, fingers brushing my wrist where the shirt hung loose. And I flinched, not from fear, but from the spark that jumped between us. Electric and forbidden. That night at the Stonewall Inn. You bought me a drink. Said your name was Elijah. Then you ghosted. Like I was nothing. The memory crashed in, hazy bar lights. Gin burning my throat. His laugh cutting through the drag queen's set like sunlight. I'd bolted at dawn. Shame twisting my gut because my folks were flying in that week. And what if they smelled the sin on me? I deleted the texts, blocked the number, buried it under deadlines and denial. But here he was, flesh and fury, in a fitting room that suddenly felt like a confessional. I didn't mean, my voice cracked. Pathetic. He leaned closer, our faces inches apart. And for a heartbeat, I thought he'd kiss me, right there, with shoppers milling outside, security cams probably whirring. Instead, he whispered, "You left your wallet behind. I found your ID. Been carrying it like a scar ever since." He pulled it from his pocket, my beat-up leather bifold, photo smiling back like a ghost. Inside, tucked in the billfold, was the family portrait, me, Mom, Dad, little sister Sarah at her graduation. The one that screamed straight. Safe. Suburban. Tears pricked his eyes. Not dramatic, but real, the kind that pool slow and spill over from a wound too deep to stitch. I get it. Elijah. The closet's a bitch. But you can't build a life on half-truths. Not with me. Not anymore. His hand lingered on mine, warm against the chill of the booth. And I felt it, the pull, magnetic and merciless. In that moment, with the world reduced to denim scraps on the floor and the faint thump of my pulse, I wanted to say yes. To shatter the mirrors, burn the photos, run with him into the October dusk. But secrets have teeth. Mine bit down hard. We stumbled out of that fitting room like thieves, him slipping my wallet back into my hand with a nod that said this isn't over. I bought the shirt, overpriced, ill-fitting, and fled into the street, the city's roar swallowing me whole. My phone buzzed, client rescheduled. Good. I needed the walk to clear my head, the crunch of leaves underfoot like brittle bones. Brooklyn Bridge loomed ahead, that iron skeleton against the sky. And I thought of Lucas, his hurt, his hope, and hated myself for the war raging inside. That night, I dreamed of fitting rooms multiplying like cells, each one a layer of me peeled away until there was nothing left but echoes. Woke up sweating, the family photo on my nightstand staring accusingly. Mom's smile, Dad's proud arm around my shoulders. How could I explain? They'd raised me in that Bible Belt bubble, where love was simple, man, woman, forever. Coming out? It wasn't just a conversation, it was detonation. Sarah would cry, call me confused. And the agency? Freelancers are disposable. One whisper of lifestyle choice, and poof, gig's gone. But Lucas haunted me. I Googled the H&M shift schedule. Creepy. I know. Showed up the next day under pretense of returns. He was there, restocking hoodies, avoiding my eyes until I cornered him by the jeans wall. Coffee, I blurted, voice steadier than I felt. He paused, then nodded, wary, but willing. We ended up at a hole-in-the-wall on Prince Street, steam rising from mugs like unspoken apologies. Over black coffee, he unfolded Lucas Rivera, 26, from Bronx. Art school dropout turned retail warrior. Grew up with a single mom who marched in pride parades. Dad long gone to some cartel ghost story south of the border. Out since 16. No drama, just acceptance. Like breathing. Why hide, he asked. Not accusing. Just curious. Stirring sugar like it was a spell. I shrugged, tracing the scar on my thumb from a childhood bike wreck. Fear's a hell of a drug. Makes you think safety's worth the cage. We talked for hours. Van Gogh's Ear versus Pollock's Chaos. The best dive bars in the village. How New York's skyline looks like a promise at dawn. By closing, his hand brushed mine across the table. Deliberate, and I didn't pull away. That spark again, but softer now, like embers banked for winter. We walked to his subway stop, shoulders bumping in the crowd, and when he turned to say goodnight, his lips met mine, brief, electric, tasting of espresso and risk. For a week, it was bliss in stolen fragments, texts at midnight, lunches in Washington Square Park where he'd sketch me on napkins, his fingers quick and sure. He'd draw my eyes first. Always windows to the storm, he'd say, and I'd laugh. Feeling seen for the first time since Ohio dirt. Sex? We skirted it. Heavy make-outs in his tiny Astoria apartment, fading to cuddles under threadbare quilts. Talking dreams until the roosters crowed, or what passed for them in Queens. It was romantic, raw, human in a way that made my chest ache with possibility. But cracks spiderweb fast. My folks announced a surprise visit. Moms just want to see my boy, voice on voicemail. Laced with that Midwestern cheer, hiding judgment. Panic clawed up my throat. I told Lucas we needed space. He nodded, hurt flickering like a shorted bulb, but said, okay. But don't disappear again. I promised I wouldn't. Lies have momentum. During their stay, I played the part, family dinners at Carmine's. Broadway tickets to Hamilton, ironic. Right? Dad's backslaps over my steady job. Sarah grilled me about girls. That coworker from last Christmas? And I deflected with jokes. Gut twisting. Lucas texted once, miss your chaos. I deleted it. Then the thread. Then my sanity. They left on a Sunday. Hugs at JFK tasting like ash. Monday, I called him. Voice breaking. I'm sorry. I can't. He cut me off. Calm as lake water before the storm. You already did. Click. Silence louder than screams. Guilt became my shadow, trailing me to pitches, to bars where I'd nurse whiskeys alone, scanning for his face in a crowd. Weeks blurred, November's chill seeping into bones. Thanksgiving turkey dry as regret. Then, the bomb, a mutual friend, goddamn social media. Liked his post, a photo of Lucas at a gallery opening. Arm around some guy. New muse? The caption teased. My stomach dropped. Betrayal? Or just life moving on while I stagnated? I showed up at the H&M unannounced. Heart a war drum. He was folding sweaters. Looked up like I'd risen from the dead. Elijah. No warmth. Just weariness. We need to talk. In the stockroom this time, boxes stacked like accusations. He faced me, arms crossed. That guy, my cousin. From Miami. But you think the worst because that's what you know. Hiding breeds monsters. I crumbled. Words spilling. The fear. The family. The what-if chaining me. He listened, then pulled me into a hug that smelled of starch and solace. Love isn't a fitting room. Elijah. It's the whole damn store, messy. Exposed. Real. We kissed then. Fierce and forgiving. Amid the hum of fluorescence. But secrets fester. Mine had roots deeper than I'd admitted. December crept in like a thief. Snow dusting the fire escapes outside my window, turning Brooklyn into a postcard I couldn't afford to send home. Lucas and I rebuilt, tentative as new construction, brunch at Clinton Street Baking Company, where he'd steal my fries, and I'd pretend not to notice how his laugh lit the room. Movie nights in his apartment. Curled on the couch watching Brokeback Mountain, his pick. My therapy. Whispering not us into his hair. He pushed gently. Tell one person. Start small. I nodded. But inertia's a bastard. Easier to nod than act. The agency holiday party loomed. A glittering trap at some loft in Tribeca. Black tie optional. Eggnog mandatory. And my boss, Karen, sharp as a stiletto, twice as painful, kept dropping hints about networking with the right people. Translation: land the Johnson & Johnson account. Or start polishing my resume. Lucas ironed my shirt that morning, fingers lingering on the collar. You'll kill it. And hey, maybe mention the boyfriend. He said it light, but his eyes held the weight. I laughed it off, kissed him goodbye at the door. The party was a swirl of suits and small talk. Fairy lights strung like nooses. Jazz quartet crooning Sinatra. Karen cornered me by the bar, gin in hand. Elijah, darling, you got that spark. But loosen up, get yourself a girl. Settle down. Clients eat that up. Her pat on the arm felt like pity, and something snapped. Not out loud, not yet, but inside. A fissure widening. Across the room, my phone buzzed. Lucas. Break a leg. Love you. Love. The word hit like champagne bubbles. Effervescent and fleeting. I typed back, ditto. Be home soon. But home? With him? Yes, but the apartment still echoed with ghosts of silence. That's when I saw her, Becca, from accounting, all red lipstick and real estate dreams. We'd flirted harmlessly last year, pre-Lucas, when my life was a safer lie. She waved me over, introduced her brother, Tom, Wall Street Wolf with a handshake like a vice. Elijah's our golden boy, she gushed. Designing the next big campaign. Tom eyed me appraisingly. Need investors? Let's talk. It was easy, too easy, to slip into the role. Laugh at his jokes. Nod at Becca's stories. Let the eggnog blur edges. By midnight, Karen was beaming. See, that's the Elijah we need. Tom slipped me his card. Whispered about a private dinner next week. Opportunity, knocking with brass knuckles. I stumbled home at 2 a.m., buzz fading to regret. Lucas was asleep. Sketchpad open on a coffee table. Again, but this time with shadows under my eyes. Like he saw the fracture before I did. I crawled into bed, his warmth pulling me close. But sleep evaded. What was I doing? Playing both sides. Juggling flames. The dinner with Tom happened professional. Sure, but laced with subtext. He picked a steakhouse in Midtown. Leather booths and Scotch neat. You're talented, kid, he said, leaning in. But talent needs allies. Stick with me. His knee brushed mine under the table. Not accidental, but probing. I shifted, heart in my throat. Was this the price? Trade one closet for another? Back at the agency, whispers started. Becca gushed to Karen. Elijah's got connections now. I nodded, smiled, but inside, rot spread. Lucas noticed the distance in my hugs. The late nights working. What's eating you? He'd ask. Over takeout falafel. His concern a mirror to my chaos. Then, the secret surfaced, not mine, but his. A rainy Tuesday, me crashing at his place after a pitch went south. I rummaged for coffee. Found a letter in the junk drawer, yellowed envelope. Mom's handwriting. Lucas. Me amor, the test results. I froze, piecing it. Dates, hospital stamps. He had HIV, undisclosed. The room tilted, betrayal hot on my tongue. He walked in, saw the paper, face draining of color. Elijah. Wait, But I was out the door, rain soaking me like judgment. Subway, ride a blur of accusations. He knew, and didn't tell. Fear, not anger, visceral, primal. What if? The what-ifs multiplied. Transmission. Trust. Tomorrow's tainted. I ghosted again. Harder this time. Blocked numbers. Deleted apps. Dove into work like it was baptism. Tom called. Dinner again? Bring ideas. I went. Let his hand linger on my shoulder. Told myself it was survival. Becca cornered me. You two would be perfect. Karen promoted me. Junior creative director. Johnson account mine. Cheers all around. But the taste was tin. Christmas loomed. Folks booking flights. Sarah texted, can't wait to see you. Bro. Got a girl yet? I typed soon. Hit send. Hated the echo. New Year's Eve. The city exploded in light. Fireworks over the Hudson. Crowds surging like one heartbeat. I was at a work party. Tom's arm around my waist in photos. Well, my phone died. No matter. But Lucas? He was out there. Somewhere. Maybe watching the same sky. Wondering where we fractured. January bit hard. Slushy streets. Resolutions crumbling. The promotions soured fast. Endless meetings. Tom's mentoring sessions turning possessive. Becca's hints sharpening to barbs. He's into you. You know. I laughed it off. But mirrors lie back, bags under eyes. Smile strained. Then, the call, Mom. Voice wobbling. Elijah. Honey. Dad's sick. Cancer. Come home. The world narrowed to a pinprick. I booked the red eye. Packed blind. Left a note for my subletter. O'Hare to Columbus. Rental car, humming hymns on the radio. Home was the same. Wraparound porch. Mom's quilt on the couch. Dad in the recliner. Gaunt but grinning. Son, hug weak, but real. Sarah cooked meatloaf. Green beans while Mom fussed. Dinner talk skirted edges. Work. Weather. That nice, Becca? I nodded. Throat tight. Night fell. I slipped out to the swing set. Stars sharp as accusations. Dad followed. Blanket over shoulders. What's eating you? Boy, his voice. Gravelly from chemo. Cut deep. Words tumbled, halting. Huh. I'm gay. Dad. Have been. Met someone. Lost him. Silence. Then his hand on mine. Calloused and sure. Knew it. Since that high school musical. Laughter. Broken. Love's love. Son. Messy. But yours. Tears came. Cathartic flood. Mom overheard. Joined us. Hugged threefold. Verses reframed as grace. Sarah texted from her room. Proud of you. Dawn broke. Forgiveness in the light. Back in New York. I hunted Lucas. H&M empty. His apartment dark. Mutual shrugged. He quit. Moved upstate. Panic clawed. Upstate. Vanished. February's frost clung stubborn. New York's grit turning to ice underfoot. Mirroring the chill in my chest. Dad's treatments dragged. Good days of checkers and bad of morphine haze. But his words anchored me. Fight for your truths. Elijah. I call the agency. Quit the Johnson gig mid-pitch. Karen's screech echoed. You'll regret this. Maybe. But regret's lighter than chains. Tom's texts turned venom. Thought you were serious. Don't come crawling back. Becca unfollowed. A digital ghosting. Freelance beckoned. Real clients. Queer-owned brands. Designs that breathed instead of suffocated. But Lucas? He was the hole no pitch could fill. I drove upstate on a whim. Hudson Valley. Snow-capped hills like folded secrets. His mom's address from the letter. A craftsman in Beacon. Artsy town with galleries and ghosts. Knocked. Heart hammering. She answered, warm eyes. Lucas's smile. Elijah? He's complicated things. Inside, tea steaming. She unfolded, diagnosis 2 years back. Undetectable now, but the fear it bred. He pushed you away to protect you. Thinks love a luxury he can't afford. Complicated. Understatement. She gave a forwarding address, a cabin in Cold Spring. Off-grid artist colony. I drove, roads winding like veins. Arriving dusk, smoke curling from chimney. Lake frozen silver below. His truck, battered Ford, parked crooked. Knocked. No answer. Pushed the door unlocked. Trusting fool. Inside, warmth hit, wood stove crackling. Canvases everywhere. Abstracted. Storms in my eyes. He emerged from the back. Flannel shirt loose. Beard shadowing his jaw. What the hell? Not anger, exhaustion. I stepped in. Door clicking shut like fate. I quit. Came out. To them. To me. Words rushed. Damn too long. He crossed arms. Barrier thin. And a letter? You ran because I ran because I'm scared. Of losing you. Of this. Gesture wild. Encompassing us. The cabin. The world. Silence stretched. Then cracked. I'm undetectable. Elijah. Safe. But stigma's a killer. His voice broke. Tears tracking. I closed the gap. Hands on his face. Rough with stubble. Alive. Then we'll fight it. Together. Kiss then slow. Searing. Tasting of pine and pardon. Not frenzy, but reclamation. Bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long lost. We talked till midnight. His art dreams revived here. My design sketched on napkins by firelight. Stay, he murmured, head on my chest. Trying to build something real. Spring thought us slow. I shuttled between city gigs and cabin weekends. Laptop on the rickety porch. Him painting beside. Folks visited once. Awkward drive up. Mom hugging Lucas like son. Dad nodding approval over trout fry. Good man, he whispered later. Chemo won ground. But grace filled gaps. Misunderstanding lingered. Though, a ghost in the sheets. One night, storm raging outside. He woke screaming, nightmare of abandonment. My face morphing to his father's. I held him, whispering anchors. But dawn brought confession. I dated someone. Briefly. After you ghosted. To forget. The guy from the photo? No, cousin. As he'd said. But another, a bar pickup. One night to numb. Hate myself for it. Betrayal's echo stung. But smaller now, human error. Not malice. We both hid, I said. Tracing his tattoos, a phoenix on his ribs. Rising. No more. Promise sealed with coffee. Black and bitter. Summer bloomed fierce. City heat waves driving us north permanent. I sublet the Brooklyn walk-up. Ship boxes in a U-Haul haze. Agency fallout faded. New clients poured in. Queer mags and indie films needing my authentic voice. Lucas's show debuted at a Beacon Gallery. Portraits of us. Veiled in color. Titled Storms We Weather. Sold out. Critics buzzing. Raw humanity in every stroke. But conflict brewed. Sharp as August thunder. Dad's decline accelerated. Lungs filling. Voice a rasp. We flew Midwest. Lucas beside. Hand in mine through turbulence. Hospice bed. Monitors beeping dirge. Proud. Son, Dad wheezed. Eyes on us twined. Love like that. Rare. He slipped at dawn. Mom's wail shattering quiet. Funeral small. Church pews half full. Eulogy mine. Truths laced with love. No closets left. Grief hollowed me. Days blurring to fog. Lucas anchored. Nights of silence by the lake back home. his sketches filling journals with our loss. But resentment flickered. Why him now? Why not sooner? One fight erupted. Words like shrapnel. You think it's easy carrying this? The virus. The judgment. He hurled it. Raw. I fired back. And your secrets? That night you didn't tell. Stall. Old wounds ripped anew. We parted furious. Me storming to the city for a deadline. Him to the studio. Text sparse. Calls dodged. A week in, Becca emailed. Job offer. Back at the agency. We've missed you. Tom's gone. Fired for harassment. Temptation gnawed. Stability. Revenge. But mirrors showed truth. Gaunt cheeks. Eyes dim. I deleted it. Drove north. He was at the door. Paint smeared. Apology in his stance. I call Mom. About the meds. The risks. Full disclosure. For now. Hug crushed air from lungs. Forgiveness in the exhale. Me too. No more half-lives. Fall returned. Leaves carpeting the valley like confetti for survivors. Dad's ashes scattered in the Ohio Creek. Mom's starting a support group, widows and outcasts. Her Bible verses now bridges. Sarah visited, bringing pie and questions. He's a keeper. We hiked the breakneck ridge trail. Breaths sinking with the climb, peak view endless. Hudson snaking below like a vein of silver. Climax hit unexpected. As they do, a gallery scout from Chelsea, offering Lucas a solo show in the city. Big time, he said, grin wide. But subtext, Manhattan's pull. My freelance flux. The tug of war between roots and reach. What if we can't? I voiced it one night. Fire dying to embers. He turned, face shadowed. Then we choose. Together, decision loomed. Difficult as carving bone. I pitched him. Hybrid life, cabin base. City jaunts. He countered. Full relocation. Our storm in the skyline. Arguments flared. His fear of isolation. My grief tied to upstate peace. One evening, rain lashing windows. He packed a bag. Needs space to think. Door slammed. Truck rumbling away. Panic surged, betrayal's twin. Abandonment. I chased. Tires slipping on mud. Found him at the lake's edge. Bag abandoned. Staring at ripples. Don't, he said. Turning. I'm not running. Just. Scared you'll resent the choice. Confession poured. His diagnosis flashback. Fearing burden. Mine. Dad's death echoing loss. We sat till stars pricked. Hands linked. Manhattan, I said finally. But weekends here. Our dual worlds. He nodded. Kiss sealing it, tender. Triumphant. Winter whispered in. Show prep frenzy. Crates shipped. Invites mailed. Opening night. Gallery humming. Critics in black. Collectors swirling. His pieces hung raw. Closet fractures. Undisclosed storms. Me woven through. Sold 3. Champagne flowing. Mom flew up. Toasting to loves that endure. But the twist, no. The deepening, a letter from Tom. Forwarded. Apology. Ruined my marriage chasing shadows. Be happy. Tossed it. But it lingered, reminder of paths not taken. Now, spring again, our first anniversary. Central Park under cherry blossoms. He sketches. I design on my tablet. Picnic spread forgotten. Stunned, he teases, echoing that fitting room. I pull him close. Foreheads touching. World fading. Every day. Life's no fairy tale. Treatments lifelong. Gigs unsteady. Family mending slow. But in the mess, humanity blooms. Love, not despite flaws, but through them. We're the story. Unfinished, but ours. Yet endings aren't tidy bows. They're frayed threads, pulling you back when you think you're done. That spring, as blossoms peaked and the city exhaled after winter's grip, Lucas's show reviews hit like a double-edged blade. The New York Times, Rivera's vulnerability cuts deep. A queer odyssey of concealment and courage. Sales spiked. Galleries calling. But whispers followed. Collectors probing his personal history, the virus a shadow, and interviews he dodged with artful deflection. He brushed it off over diner pancakes. Syrup sticky on his fingers. Let him speculate. My truth's on the walls. But I saw the toll. Sleepless nights. Sketches turning jagged. His laugh a beat too forced. Me? I landed a book cover gig for a coming-out memoir. Irony thick as fog. Synchronicity, he joked. But his eyes held questions. Are we ready for this spotlight? Mom called weekly now. Voice brighter. Organizing a virtual book club for queer lit. Your dad's favorite was Whitman. You know, she'd mail cookies. Rainbow frosted. A quiet evolution. Sarah FaceTimed. Dating a barista named Jordan. She's got tattoos like you too. Laughter bridged miles. But Dad's absence echoed. Empty chair holidays. His recliner gathering dust. We moved to a walk-up in the East Village, 3rd floor. Fire escape garden. Rent bleeding us dry, but views of the skyline like promises. Weekends, we'd bowled upstate. Cabin waiting like a faithful dog. There, under quilt-stacked beds, we'd unravel, him tracing my ink, me mapping his scars, invisible ones, from needles and neglect. Intimacy deepened, not carnal, but confessional, sharing fears like contraband, building trust brick by fragile brick. Conflict simmered, though, in the form of an old flame's return. Not Tom's ich. But worse, Alex, Lucas's college ex, now a curator at MoMA. He emailed, congrats on the show. Drinks? For old times. Lucas showed me. Casual, polite no, but curiosity nod. I scrolled his Insta, polished life. Husband mentioned in bios. Why drinks? I pressed. Voice sharper than intended. Closure? He shrugged, but tension coiled. They met coffee. Public. Me pacing our apartment like a caged wolf. He returned. Face flushed. He apologized. For bailing when I tested positive. Said he was scared. The words landed like punches. Another layer to Lucas's armor. Forged in abandonment. You okay? I asked, pulling him close. Better now, but doubt lingered. A seed in fertile soil. That night, argument brewed over dishes. You still love him? Absurd. But fears irrational. No, but he was my first safe space. Then he left. Tears. His, like you almost did. Ouch. Truth scalpel. We mended with walks in Tompkins Square. Dog leashes tangling like our thoughts. Emerging tighter. Summer scorched. Festivals pulsing. Pride a riot of color. Us marching hand in hand. Rainbows on cheeks. Lucas danced on a float. I cheered from the curb. Heart swelling at his joy. But controversy crashed. A tabloid snippet. Rising queer artists hidden past exposed. Vague. Vicious. Hinting at health scandals. His agent panicked. Deny or lean in? Lucas chose silence. But calls from collectors dried. Cancellations polite. Excuses thin. Rage boiled in me. America's hypocrisy. Preaching progress while wielding pitchforks. Fuck 'em. I snarled over rooftop beers. City lights winking below. We'll self-publish. He smiled. Weary, my hero, but privately. He spiraled. Paintings darker. Whiskey nights solo. I found him once. Brush in hand. Canvas slashed. What if they win? What if I drag you down? Decision time. Knife edge. Pull back. Fade to obscurity. Or charge. We chose Fire, a pop-up exhibit in Bushwick, raw and unfiltered. Posters, storms unveiled, art from the margins. Crowds came, not elites, but locals, queers, allies. Sold out again. Buzz real, vulnerable, vital. A doc filmmaker approached. Your story, it's universal. Fall winds carried us forward. But betrayal's specter loomed anew, not from without, but in. During a cabin retreat, phone buzzed. Sarah. Elijah. Mom's dating. Pause. A woman. From a group. Shock. Then joy. Ripples of our courage echoing home. But laced, she wants to tell you herself. Afraid you'll judge. I didn't cold. Voice steady. Love's love. Mom. Tears on her end. Release. Yet it unearthed my own buried doubt. Had I truly forgiven my past self? The ghoster. The hider? Lucas sensed it. During a hike, leaves crunching underfoot. You're quiet. Confession spilled. What if I'm not enough? For this life? For you. He stopped. Hands on my shoulders. Eyes fierce. You're the storm I chose. Kiss amid maples. Fiery reds mirroring pulse. But the real gut punch waited. His quarterly check. Viral load spiking. Meds failing. Resistance, doc said. Prescribing new cocktail. Fear's old friend returned. Whispering burden. He pulled away first, subtle. Extra shifts at a local cafe. To cover meds. I confronted. Gentle. Talk to me. Breakdown followed. Sobs on the kitchen floor. I can't watch you watch me waste. Heart shatter. Then we fight, I said. Holding tight. Trials. Transplants. Whatever. Together. Climax crested unexpected. As life scripts it, the doc film pitched to Sundance. Uncloseted. One couple's reckoning. Interviews raw. Lucas on diagnosis. Me on family fallout. Us on love's defiance. Premiere in Park City. Snow blanketing streets. Crowd hushed. Standing ovation. Tears streaming, validation. Visceral. But post-screening. A producer cornered Lucas. Great story. But for the sequel? Go dramatic, breakup. Redemption arc. Venom in velvet. Lucas laughed it off. But en route home, fracture showed. Is that us? A narrative. Doubt festered. Our life a plot device? Back in the city. Storm broke. Argument in the loft. Voices echoing off brick. They see tragedy, not triumph. I yelled. And you? Still hiding behind art. He hurled back. At least I create. You design escapes. Words weapons. Cutting deep. He stormed out. To the cabin alone. Days blurred. Me frantic. Calling mutuals. Driving up in sleet. Found the place dark. Note on table. Need to breathe. Not goodbye. Panic clawed. Flashbacks to fitting rooms. Ghosts. I waited. Sketching him in worry. Truths on paper. He returned a week later. Bag heavy. Eyes clear. Therapy, he said. With a queer counselor up there. Face the fear alone. So together stronger. Hug dissolve walls. Apologies air. I almost lost you, I whispered. Never again. Now. Winter's hush. Our second holiday season. Tree twinkling in the window. Ornaments hand-painted. Mom visits. Jordan in tow. Family fractal. Expanding. Dad's photo watches. Smiling. Lucas's med stabilize. New exhibit brews. Endurances. My book covers gray shelves. One dedicated. For Elle, my muse. My mirror. Stunned? Still by grace. By grit. America's patchwork. Bigotries and breakthroughs. But in our corner, love wins quiet. Not flawless, but full human. Heated. Home. We stand on the fire escape. City symphony below. His head on my shoulder. Ready for whatever, he murmurs. I nod. Kiss his temple. Always.